Hi, I'm Carrie Bruno. I'm a registered nurse, IBCLC lactation consultant, and certified Menopause Society practitioner. Today I want to talk about the fluctuations in your hormones during perimenopause. So just as a reminder, the average age of menopause is 51 years old. That means it's very normal, and lots of women experience menopause at age 45. Perimenopause happens 7 to 10 years. Those symptoms can last a long time. So if your menopause occurs at 45, it can be very, very normal for a 35-year-old woman to be starting to experience perimenopausal symptoms. And so why do we get perimenopausal symptoms? We have estrogen receptors all over our bodies. And as our hormones fluctuate in perimenopause, those systems get impacted, and that's why everybody's perimenopausal symptoms are different. So let's talk about your cycle for a minute. In the first half of your cycle, that is when in perimenopause, typically we feel the best. And the reason why is because our estrogen levels are at their highest. We feel better when our estrogen is higher. Then what happens is ovulation, and the second half of our cycle is when our estrogen levels decline, and we often feel more symptomatic in this time of our cycle, the last half of our cycle. Then let's add in progesterone. So our bodies have estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, which we'll talk about. And what happens is progesterone, it rises in the second half of our cycle, but then it also starts to fall. And what's interesting in perimenopause, and please put this in the comments, is what I found is perimenopause, one of the first things that women notice often is even a decline in progesterone, and how that reflects in what happens with our bodies is often women have harder time sleeping in the second half of their cycle. Does that sound like you? And they might have newfound anxiety where they weren't a worrier, and then all of a sudden you find your mind racing at night, you're worrying about things that you haven't before, and you're trying to manage that. And I see this happen where women go to their healthcare provider and they share these worries, and they end up with sleeping pills and anti-anxiety medication, when the reality is there's lots of other things that we can be doing to help manage those perimenopausal symptoms, both through nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, but also through hormone replacement therapy. It is a multifaceted approach. And so I want you to know that if you are in your late 30s or your early 40s and you have this like newfound trouble sleeping, especially in the second half of your cycle, or this newfound anxiety, it isn't you, quote unquote, losing your mind or having a midlife crisis. This is your hormones changing. This is your body saying, I feel depleted, help me. Because often if we can give you a little progesterone, obviously after ruling everything else out, we want to make sure it's nothing else, and you need to work with your healthcare provider. I'm just here sharing stories of women who have been impacted by lower progesterone levels, and by supplementing them, they start to feel a lot better. And something I should say is that how we diagnose perimenopause is not through a lab test. And you will be told that potentially by people who don't quite understand perimenopause and menopause. And it's nobody's fault. Our healthcare providers actually get very limited training when it comes to managing perimenopause and menopause. And so it's our job as women to make sure that we understand and that we can advocate for ourselves, because they might do blood work, but blood work is just a snapshot in time when it comes to perimenopause, meaning your estrogen levels and progesterone levels fluctuate wildly in the month, but they also change from month to month. So if your level was normal this month, it might not be the next month, and then it might be the next month. So how we diagnose perimenopause is by ruling out other things, because we do need to make sure, because like I said, there's estrogen receptors all over the body. So we want to make sure, you need to work with your healthcare provider to make sure it's nothing else. But once that's all ruled out, perimenopause is a very valid reason why you might be feeling what you're feeling. And typically it's best diagnosed by listening to you. You deserve a healthcare provider that hears you, that listens to you, because there's so much we can do to help you feel better and set you up for success in perimenopause and menopause. So I lead a team of registered nurses and nurse practitioners all over the globe committed to helping women through this time. And you can check out the link in my bio here, and just know that I see you. And I appreciate you listening to this video.